Hello and welcome to the Redmen TV, proudly backed by Ladbrokes. I am joined by Freddie from the Ugly Inside to look at this weekend's game against Southampton. Bit of a bogey team for us, as us Reds know. Can we expect anything different? Give us some good news regarding Southampton, Freddie.
Well, the good news for you, Van Dijk's not going to be playing, and he's not going to be playing until the end of the season.
Yes.
But he's been we've missed him so much since his injury. I mean, Yoshida, Stevens have taken an opportunity, but they're not that quality. They're not as good as Van Dijk. You know, Yoshida, Stevens had this good run of form. Puel's given him the chance, especially Stevens, but both of them had their critics. And as it goes, I think we've got one of the worst defensive records since Van Dijk's injury in January. I think we've scored on average 1.8 goals per game over the last 3 or 4 months.
Conceded?
Yeah.
Conceded, is that? Yeah.
Conceded.
Wow. I mean, this is a team that we've played 3 times this season. I haven't scored a goal past you, I don't think. You've been our bogeyman, and, do you really think it's just down to Virgil van Dijk? Can one player make that much of a difference to a defence?
Oh, absolutely. I think Font, actually, with Van Dijk, had kept Forster. They both protected Forster. I think, sort of going back to the likes of Yoshida and Stevens, actually Tadic came out and publicly said in our local newspaper last week, we're lacking experience in the squad. And I think it's partly down to that, but it was also lack of quality. Font and Van Dijk, as a partnership, protected Forster and made him look good last season and beginning of this season. And then since Font left, on the whole sort of situation that way left, and then Van Dijk left, was injured 2 weeks after that, and we've had these 2 players that are probably not that best of quality to replace 2 top centre halves. And well, it's sort of Font hasn't done too well since he's gone West Ham. Van Dijk's made him look good, but in terms of the rest of the defence, Bertrand and Cedric are 2 of the best fullbacks in the entire league for me right now.
And what about moving further up? Who have we got to be worried about this weekend?
Well, for me, actually, the most improved player this season has got to be James Ward-Prowse. He keeps the balance in midfield, and every time he's come off, everyone around the stands is moaning about how the balance has, we've lost the balance in midfield. Replacing him with somebody like Boufal or Tadic, who both of them historically do not track back and they don't put their defensive duties in. Also, in the midfield, you've got to look at Ori Romeu, who's been an absolute beast, and for me, he's been my player of the season. He's the one, the linchpin to break up the defence to the attack, the short, quick balls from the defence to the counter-attack. And if we have somebody like Redmond and Boufal are both playing on the pitch, then we can use those and utilise them on the counter-attack. But also Gabbiadini, he's been an absolute revelation since he signed for us. He scored 6 in 4 games. He hasn't scored in the last couple of weeks, but he's hungry for the ball and he's alive in the box. 18-yard box, he's like a fox in the box sort of thing. He just wants any ball that falls to him, to his feet, and he'll take any opportunity with his left, his right, and takes an opportunity, unlike some of the rest of the players that have this season.
What about with regards to Liverpool then? We have tended to try and attack centrally against teams this season. I think people have gotten wise to that quite often. We've been forced to attack with our fullbacks using a lot of width, but we're not very good at whipping the ball in. How do you think we match up with Southampton now?
Well, in terms of that comment, I think actually Yoshida and Stevens don't impose that much of a threat as Font and Van Dijk would, and especially with Forster, he's 6'7". He does not take ownership of the box, and that's what we've been so critical of him this season. Despite him picking up, I think it's 14 clean sheets, he's not really excelled since Van Dijk's injury. And the top keeper like that, you want him to take ownership, you want him to come out and be brave. He doesn't do any of that. 6'7" beast. But he doesn't feel like it. It hardly comes off his line. But with regards to the wide comment, actually, I think that's probably how you can probably break us down on the width, because we were actually overrunning midfield last weekend against Hull. They played a 4-1-4-1, and we had the 2 holding midfielders, Davis and Romeu, sitting deep for that game, where we had Boufal, Tadic and Redmen probably sitting too far up the pitch, and that's where he got caught a few times. And we were probably lucky to get away with the point, and actually that happened against Bournemouth last month as well. So I think perhaps if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, it could be like for like formation. But if you're playing anything different, I think it could be a real tight battle.
Yeah, we've tended to play 4-3-3, and last couple of weeks it's been Lucas, Wijnaldum, and Chan as the midfield 3. Which Chan scored a wonder goal the other night against Watford. I'm sure you've seen it. Wijnaldum's been a revelation since coming into the side, but as a three, they're not the most creative of threes. So we're sort of pondering, does Lallana go back in there, or does Lallana go on the right wing and Firmino go up top? So we're not really sure how Liverpool's going to set up this weekend. It's going to be an interesting game, regardless. How do you think it's going to go down? What do you think the score is going to be?
Hey, we'll be lucky we get to the point based on some of the results that we've taken. All right, we've taken 3 points against Palace, drew against Bournemouth. We made a good account of ourselves against Chelsea midweek last week, but it doesn't tell the entire story. And I think if it wasn't for the cup final, Paul perhaps would have been out of a job by now. And there's actually reports suggest over the last 48 hours that he could well not even make it to the end of the season. But if we take 3 points at Anfield on Sunday, then I think that's his job safe to the end of the season. But it's not being convincing, and I think if we take a point, I'll be absolutely delighted with that. And for 3, saves his job for at least a couple of weeks, to be honest.
So score prediction?
I'll go 1-1, mate.
I'm going to stick with me 1-0 that I gave over on your channel. Anyway, Freddie, thank you very much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure, as it always is. If you want to see more Southampton Liverpool videos, both pre-match and post-match, do go over. The link is in the description. It's The Ugly Inside, doing a fantastic job for Southampton fans on YouTube, on Facebook, and all other social media stuff. Freddie, thank you very much once again. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like on it, subscribe, and leave your comments below.